Aloha everyone. It is August 11th, 2015, and you're watching Google Rocks Hawaii, episode number 77. And tonight we're going to learn all about code.org from our special guest, Shane Asselstein. And Shane is becoming a regular with us, a regular guest on our show, and it's because he's a man of many talents, and we're always happy to have him come on. In fact, he can come on as a panelist anytime. So Shane is going to be our presenter, but let's see who's on his side. Jody, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Jody Brown, Kalama Intermediate School librarian and code enthusiast.
Nice. And I think Michelle Colt will be joining us, Anne, who usually comes as a birthday party, so she won't be here, and maybe Holly will drop in. So Shane, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, and I asked Shane if he would share whatever he would like, and then we can ask questions as we go along. So the floor is yours, Shane.
Great. Well, thank you for having me again for a different topic this time, but you know, always something I'm trying to push in. So, quick intro for anybody who may not know me. I'm a curriculum and technology coordinator at Momilani Elementary School in Pro City on Oahu. I've been teaching at that same school now for 11 years. Started as a fourth grade teacher, and now I'm primarily focused on math, science, and technology for the most part. I guess I got my big break on Google Rocks Hawaii and all these other web shows back when I was when I still do Minecraft, but that was probably my big thing coming out. Had a great summer this summer doing presentations at HST and went to London, England for Minecon, and then I ended off my summer with the code.org summit training in Chicago. So it was a lot of fun. There was 150 represented new and existing affiliates all in one place, and we were just talking before we started that it didn't seem like such a I guess it just didn't seem very much like a training as much as it was a meeting of a family reunion type of thing. Like the existing affiliates, you know, they would treat us new affiliates as if we were just younger brothers, and you know, taking each other under the wings and helping each other, and it was just really amazing to see people with common goals in mind. So of course the common goal we're talking about today is of code.org, and interesting, Hadi makes mention several times about the name code.org, how it came up with code.org because it was easier than saying computerscience.org, or you know, or everybody should learn computerscience.org, and so code.org came the snappy quick name, right? So but don't be fooled, code.org is not only about teaching coding, it's about teaching a lot of other skills that may not be evident when you first look at the program and the curriculum. So the vision is that, of course, every student in every school has the opportunity to learn computer science. And, you know, I'm hoping that I'm at least one part of that in Hawaii, that I can kind of help get the word out and help the training and all that kind of stuff. So I know there's a lot of us trying code, and I'm just out there to help push it even further. So
I have a short question. Who is
yes.
Hadi?
Hadi Partovi is the co-founder of code.org. Him and his twin brother are the co-founders. They both have backgrounds, if I'm not mistaken, in computer science. I believe Hadi worked for Microsoft at one point and some other big companies. I won't go too far into his history because I'm not sure if I got it all accurately or not, but he's a great guy. You know, he's the co-founder of this company, and several times while I was there over the weekend, I had one-to-one conversations with him. You know, he was very approachable and very much in the mix of all of us. We actually joked around about having the next summit in Hawaii and what kind of goals do we need to reach to get the summit in Hawaii. So speaking of those goals, 10,000 teachers were trained by affiliates, by 100 affiliates last year to use the Code Studio curriculum. There's over 100,000 teachers, though, actually signed up and registered. So that's a huge number if you consider they're only about a year. This is their second year promoting code and in the classroom. So
that's not just Hour of Code, right? That's other coding as well,
yes.
The 10,000? Or
Right,
100,
yeah.
sorry, what was the number again?
10,000 teachers have been trained, and there's over 100,000 using it in the classroom. Um, so yeah, you're right. The Hour of Code is actually the very front face of coding and a big push for the getting people interested, and it's kind of the hook, right? So, Linda, I don't know if your school has. I'm pretty sure your school has probably done Hour of Code. Jody was just talking about how she started already. She's doing early Hour of Code and getting kids excited, and that's great. I've done Hour of Code for the last 2 years, and we've done everything from the foos to Lightbot to actually using Minecraft, as I used it for isn't an official Hour of Code event, but since I can use Minecraft, I use it in my classroom to teach coding. So Hour of Code is put together. Code.org is the main primary organizer, and they get companies like geez, they've got Tinker there, they've got Scratch, they've got if I share my screen with you guys here, you
While you're
can
doing
see.
that, while
Yep.
you're going to that, I just wanted to let people who are watching know that you can actually put a question in the Q&A. If you have any questions of Shane or any of us, and we'll try to answer them.
Great. So if you take a look at my screen here, one of the newest things is the Disney Infinity based programming. And this is the Hour of Code's site. So they'll tell you, this is for ages 8 plus. Using a modern browser or a tablet will work. There's been over 12 million participants on this activity alone. There's teacher notes for educators. You can just click the go button and it'll start. Tutorials for beginners using Scratch. Lightbot is an amazing one. We used this with first graders last year, and they just loved it. Angry Birds, of course, is within Code. You have build your own games within Tinker. Then if you want to get a little further into it, you have JavaScript here. You have learning to code with Carol the dog, which is for high school students. Code Academy, which we've heard of. Combat Code, again, for middle schoolers. Modern web browser. A lot of these things will work on browsers or tablets, which is nice. And then you can go further down, and unplugged activities are a big popular thing within code.org. And of course, they've translated that over into the Hour of Code. Coding can be taught whether you have one computer, no computers, or a full one-to-one program. So that's what's really great about the curriculum for Code Studio. Conditionals with cards. I actually participated in this while I was at the training, and this is a great activity for teaching kids about conditionals. You pull up a card and you ask them, okay, what do you notice about this card? Well, there's a red card, and I know there's black cards. There's the different suits. There's the numbers. You've all of a sudden got conditionals, so you can tell someone, if I pull a red jack, something will happen. If I don't else, do something else. So then you start teaching them quick code just using a deck of cards, which is amazing. So Blockly is another great one. Apps and phones. Like I said, it just goes on and on. This one here, I love this. I love showing Flappy because you can build Flappy Birds in about 10 minutes. But what's amazing is that when Flappy Birds came out, it was making, I think, somewhere around $50,000 a year or something just by downloads. So, yeah, you can now code this in about 10 minutes on the website. There's some really great developments in code.org, but I'll finish off with Hour of Code first. So Hour of Code is happens in December, early December, and it's a big push. If I'm not mistaken, there were over, it's not on here, but something like 40 million. I'm not sure whether I can find that link. Hour of Code. Let's see. No, it's not going to go to it. Anyway, there's stats on the website that show how many people participated in Hour of Code last year, and they're actually staggering how many people did. With that said, I'd like to try to encourage more people in Hawaii to try it, considering, if I'm not mistaken, I heard only 40 out of the 256 schools last year tried Hour of Code. So I'd like to see if we can get more than that. To move on beyond Hour of Code, as you saw earlier there, you then come into the actual Code Studio site. So Code Studio is the foundational curriculum, which has got now, I think, over 200 hours of curriculum for free online for teaching computer science. Everything from the Frozen apps here, the Frozen to Flappy Birds to the new Infinity Play, which is amazing. There are now 4 courses. Course 4 is in beta. They've changed it to Computer Science Fundamentals instead of, I believe it was just courses. There's an accelerated course, which will do the course 2 and 4 and kind of condense it into one. There's so much changes, or there's so many things changing now that they're developing so many things. It's pretty awesome to be part of that and see the kinds of things that they're going towards. Some of the things in the show notes that I added, these can be used. We're not officially, well, us as trainers are not officially training people on this yet, but you can definitely go and check it out. So for middle school, there's actually a computer science in science curriculum. There's a computer science and algebra curriculum. For high school, you have CS Principles and CS ECS as entire courses that you can use for high school level students, all provided by code.org. There's the new App Lab. The App Lab is basically extends to more of a creative avenue where you can start creating apps. You can create, actually, if I'm one of my friends, Mike Harvey, he's in Maine. He's a code rep in Maine. He created this app in the class that we were taking, sent it to me, and it was available on my phone right away. And it was a simple app, like pick this versus that, or pick the triangle versus the circle. But the fact that he could actually code that in the 10 or 15 minutes we were in the class and send it to me on my phone was amazing. I mean, that's right there, something that kids are going to love, being able to send things to their friends, even if it's just something real quick and simple. But the applications for the App Lab are pretty awesome.
And Shane is looking at the show notes, which
Yes.
is available to everyone, and the URL for that is bit.ly/grh77notes, NOTES, and that will be with the YouTube available to people.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, we can see it better now.
Yeah, I zoomed in. How's that?
Nice.
All right. So I queued up this video here because I want everybody to kind of get a taste of Code Studio and what it actually is. So it's a short 3-minute video, 4-minute video. So we'll just take a look at this.
What computer science is, it's a way to impact the world.
The sound is really low, Shane.
Like when I was 9.
When I was 13.
4th grade. I was 11.
Is that better? No?
It was cool from the beginning for them. They were showing up.
I think it's coming out of your computer. I know some.
It's coming through my headset, but I don't know if you want to try to maybe steal this link.
Yeah.
And you show it? How's that?
YouTube actually has rules against broadcasting on the show, so that's why they don't make it easy for us to.
Gotcha.
We'll be able to see the video, but I don't think we'll be able to do audio. I think the audio is coming from someplace else.
Okay.
But tell us about it.
Anyway, this is just basically talking about Code Studio and how it's kid tested, teacher approved, as the title says, and it interviews several kids and teachers on how code has influenced their school. How doing the Hour of Code and Code Studio has influenced them. Code Studio has their own YouTube channel, code.org, and they have a bunch of great videos that are up there that will really show, and reinforce the value of coding in the classroom. I know for a fact that there are teachers out there right now thinking that would be great, but when do I find the time? What do I take out? Things like that. So really the encouragement is, give them, try to give them half an hour to an hour a day, just to do code, or sorry, not a day, a week, and start out that way and see what kind of influence it has. You will find that it does reinforce, or can be used to reinforce, math, English, science, these types of things. Not to mention the soft skills that get reinforced with the the things that we're trying to get kids to focus on, or to do, which is being creative, right? I know right now Michelle's going to be big smiles because she loves that word. Being collaborative, communicating, and the persistence and problem solving. All of these skills are things that will be gained through doing this coding and the Code Studio curriculum. There's a poster that they showed actually at the conference, and it said basically that education isn't filling the pail but lighting a fire, and if we can do that, then we're succeeding as educators, right? So I don't want it to be just about doing the Wonders Language Arts book or doing the Stepping Stones or Go Math textbooks, right? There needs to be more to it than just that. Hi, Michelle, by the way. Nice to see you.
Hi, Shane. Hi, Jody. Hi, Linda.
Welcome.
Shane, I love what you're saying, and I think too, when I first put coding on the library website, and I hadn't shown it to the kids yet, code.org, I mean, a little first grader had finished his ocean animal research, and so I said, hey, take a look at this, and I'll come back and help you in a second. And when I came back, he was on like level 8. He had surpassed what I had done. So, what's really exciting too is it's kind of like code.org has laid it out so neatly. I know you're talking about that really if the teacher just hooks the kid up with a computer or alerts the parents, the kids will really just fly through the program.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. There's definitely that function and ability for kids to just pick it up and go, if there isn't time. But they definitely do, or we would all like to definitely push some of the unplugged activities too. There's some really amazing unplugged activities that you can do with the students. What's great is, I'm sorry, for some reason when I do the screen sharing, my camera no longer wants to come back. So now you just got my icon of me. But the code out.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, okay. So let me just click on one of these real fast, and I'll show you. I'll do a screen share again, and I'll show you that the unplugged activities. If I can get into a course, let's do course 3. We just did course 3 today, actually, with our students, and I'll show you. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go, view course. Okay, so the unplugged activities, so for instance, this is on course 1, sorry, but there's a move it. And for teachers that are kind of nervous about, okay, well, great, it's an unplugged activity. It comes with a nice intro video about what we're talking about. It comes with the lesson plan down here. You can view it online with any of the worksheets, the vocab, anything that you need to come with it. It's just a link here. You want to check out the vocab, there's the vocab from the lesson. You want to check out the move it step adventure, here you go. There's the directions on how to run it. So it's all laid out right there for you, which is great, and that's great because actually we've had several teachers who have come to, I do summer schools labs each year at Punahou, and a lot of teachers come to us saying, we don't have 1-to-1, we don't have even 2-to-1 computers. How do we do this? How do we do coding without that? So this is the great types of things that are provided, and shouldn't be overlooked for sure. But Michelle is right. The kids will get in there. Last year we did Code Studio, and I had at least a dozen girls in my 5th grade class who started on course 3, finished course 3, finished course 4, went back and did course 1 and course 2, and asked, "Can I have any more, please?" So it's there. The interest is there. The level is there. The engagement, the motivation is there. So. This year I'm trying something a little different in class. I'm actually going to be doing the unplugged activities during class and then having them on their time finish off the digital learning side. So
hey Shane, is this lesson overview a new feature? Did they just add this recently or in the past few months?
I think that I'm not sure if it's brand new, but I do know that it used to be just the downloadable. And now you can click on because downloadable creates just a PDF if you want to do, offline, print it out, whatever. It's pretty much the same thing. It has the links, tells you how long to get, but there is also, if I can find it, a website that shows all of the unplugged activities for every single course. You just has a big list of them so you can actually plan out which ones. And they're great for introducing what they're about to go through with the digital content as well. So they're not going to send you straight into doing events if they haven't done some type of an unplugged activity on what events are, or what functions are, things like that. Just helping them reinforce that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think that's really great. And I noticed too they even had a kind of like a reflection piece built into the lesson right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
neat.
So there's actually the assessment at the very end that you can do, which is nice. Because actually I was asked about that, and well, what kind of assessment can I get out of this? Well, again, it's not that assessment is my end goal, but if somebody did want to focus on that, they're providing that type of stuff too. So
Well, and I think too, in the Twitter chat the other day, Melanie pointed something out to me. I kind of misunderstood maybe where teachers were coming from, and she put, in a very nice way, she reminded me that they're working within a system where they are expected to show what standards they're using and how we really have evidence of kids learning. I love all the correlation to ISTE and Common Core benchmarks
at
that
the
are in here
bottom.
too.
Yeah.
Because again, that's the language that some folks speak, so it's important to show that. But it also shows how well integrates into the classroom and how we should have coding in the schools.
Right, right. I think that it's great how, like you said, it's showing you right there. So if someone were to come to me and say, "But I don't see how this matches up with language arts," well, look, there's an entire section right here just on language arts. There's an entire section on math. Mathematical practices, which sometimes are overlooked now what they're doing in the Common Core. They're more focused on the standard, not necessarily the practices. And of course ISTE, which I put the links in the show notes as well for the ISTE, not just for students, but also for teachers and for computer science educators, because we can't just expect the students to follow this if we're not willing to do it as well, if we're not willing to make those changes and make those leaps. So yeah, I agree. I think that all is great. They've done a great job putting all this together, and it is for the unplugged activities. It's right there. Let's see if I can find let's see, what else do we want to see here other than everything, but I was trying to get to the third course, but I think this is mine, and I've got kind of maybe the lessons plans will show me here. There we go. So here's the lesson plans, and any of the U's, of course, are the unplugged for course 1. The big event, that's a pretty popular one for the teachers using this. When we do the workshops, they like to use the big event one. So teaching your kids about the big event. Again, extended learning, all that kind of stuff, assessment. So yeah, so they've done a great job with that kind of stuff. Yes, ma'am.
We went to the training about a year ago. Would you say that the trainings have even changed? There's just so much more on their site. So
yeah, that was actually one of the questions. Oh, hey, my camera's back. Hey. That was actually one of the questions brought up at the training, is that for you and I, who did do our initial training with Evelyn way back last November, November, I think we did it. Anyway, a lot has changed, and you know what? A lot will change over the course of this year too. Right. So the question was brought up is, typically once you've gone to a code.org training, you can come to be an observer at the next one, but you don't really get the new materials or anything like that. So we actually asked about that, whether or not. So it's kind of still being decided upon, but I think that so much has changed and been improved on it that maybe every other year you should be, maybe able to come back and take the training again, because it's going to have that much more stuff involved into it. So, and like you said, maybe we need to look at more during the trainings, look at more of the unplugged activities, because the digital almost handles itself. Like you said, it just almost just doesn't even need a teacher to be there per se. Because honestly, the kids will ask each other before they ask me for solutions, mostly because they know I'm going to say no. Just try it on your own, right? I want them to try. But yeah, I don't worry too much about the digital. It's the unplugged I want them to be getting more, more than anything. So one of the great things I learned this last in the Chicago Summit was an elaboration on the equity, the equity discussion in classrooms, and how we don't even realize sometimes, because we don't feel like we're doing anything wrong, but how inequitable we do make our classrooms at times. One of the simple examples is something like, you're going to ask a question that this one student knows the answer to, so he's your backup or she's your backup of, well, if nobody else says anything or raises their hand, I'll just pick that student. You've already got in your mind that the rest of them aren't going to get it. That's not equality. You've got to give them that time to try to figure it out. So, they played this great game called Giraffes and Platypus. I'll have to share it with you, Michelle. And I don't want to give anybody else the answers when they go to my workshop. I want to make sure they understand, but I'll share it with you. So.
Mhm.
And you run this with the staff, and it's really funny because they did it with us and 150 us. It was pretty funny. Um, but it's a lesson that reinforces that concept of equity, right? And how even your questioning methods can be inequitable, leaning towards one population of the students or the other. So.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. And maybe best classroom. I'm still working on this. I need a lot of practice on this one, but it's when you provide opportunities for students to ask the questions, I think that it can be more powerful and hopefully,
Right.
I don't know, lead to more equity. Hey, for any teachers who are still hesitant, Shane, I think, have you ever used your 6th and 5th graders as kind of like peer tutors for younger grades or even to talk to the teachers about it? Coding, I mean?
Um, Not coding specifically, but we have used it, of course, with Minecraft. My 5th and 6th graders got to present to the Pro City, um, all of the Pro City principals and the CAS, last year, which was pretty awesome for them to see and just hear things, that the teachers or the principals were asking, like, how old are these kids again? And like just the sophistication of their answers and being able to solve their own problems. Sometimes as adults we can't even do that, but yet here we have these 11 and 12-year-olds just solving their problems. How did you decide which one to go with? Well, we just tried each one out and we went with the best one. I mean, I don't see why we couldn't. I would love to see my students become advocates of coding in other schools.
Hey, sorry, I have a quick
Yeah,
follow-up question. I always have too much to say. Sorry, Linda, I
no
came in
problem.
late and I'm talking too much.
Not say sorry. You're good.
I'm wondering a couple things. One thing, Shane, did the CAS and the principals, did they start to realize that your students, exactly like you were saying, they're reflecting, they're problem-solving, troubleshooting, so did they start to see Minecraft as not a game and not playing for
I
fun, but for learning?
I hope so. They had some very positive comments from my admin, who then, of course, translated those down to me. I've had on several occasions the opportunity to talk to my CAS, and he's, very enthusiastic about the things I've been doing, and and
Awesome.
supporting me and that kind of stuff. So I feel, grateful that both my
Good.
CAS and my admin are supporting me in these kind of things that I'm doing. So yeah, I definitely think they saw a difference. They, because, and then I'm hoping with I don't know how many, I've lost track how many times I've presented now on Minecraft, but I'm hoping that each time somebody comes at it, they're going, oh yeah, maybe I should take a closer look at what my son, daughter, grandson is doing, and not just in Minecraft, but anything, like if they're
Right.
sitting in front of the computer, 9 times out of 10 you come into my classroom, if they're doing coding, you're just like, oh, they're playing Angry Birds or something, because you just take a quick look at it. You don't really know what they're doing, but when they're doing problem solving and repeat loops and and sequencing and all this kind of stuff, you can't dismiss that kind of stuff. That
Yeah, so
learning. So
true.
yeah,
That's exactly right. And I think, I've attended presentations where your kids presented too, and I was so impressed with them. And I think it's a reflection on you and the kind of classroom that you lead. I know in the Twitter chat last night you said you have the loudest room on campus, but
yeah.
it's all constructive thinking and learning. So my big number 2 question for you is, have you folks, you and your students, written up your ISTE proposal yet?
We haven't, no, but I have been given sort of a get ready to go if you're willing to go and do the proposal thing again. So I just got to find a great idea. I don't know which great idea I should try to use to get in
You
there
have
again. So
many great ideas. Ask your
um,
students. Ask
yeah,
them.
yeah, it's been a really fun summer for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm kind of not. I mean, I know ISTE is coming up in September 1st. We have to 30th we can submit, I guess. Which is amazing because I feel like I just finished.
Right.
We're going to
Yes.
submit again, right?
Yeah.
Schools of the Future is coming up, so I'm going to be presenting there. 808, I teach 808 at Sacred Hearts, and of course we're going to be. Well, I won't be presenting at the Ed Camp Honolulu because I've been
Yeah.
told we don't do that at Ed Camps. So, so
Right.
but yeah, I'm really looking forward to. We have the 2 workshops coming up. We have the one in August, which is pretty much full now, and then we have another one in September that's been opened. We were just talking, actually, Michelle, about other opportunities on other islands. Anybody on this island is interested in hosting. So I've actually put the link in the show notes if you're interested in contacting me to host a workshop. I did notice I've been trying to communicate with people who sign up like in groups of 5 or 6 already from a single school and saying, if you're interested, we could do it just for your staff, right, and try to work it out. Linda's gonna try to work her magic and see if we can get over to Maui, or we can even get over to Jody's school if we want to, if she's willing to host one and help us promote it out. Like I said, I'm looking to get more than 40 schools focused on Hour of Code this December if I can, and even more so, having a sustainable, computer science curriculum running at schools too. And I'm a realist, I don't think that automatically I'm going to do this training and all of a sudden everyone's going to drop an hour of their curriculum per week and say we'll do computer science. But the great innovators like everybody on this panel, as long as I can get you guys started, someone will see that and it'll get infectious, I hope, and they'll see the value of it, right? So if we can get key pillars in each school working on it, and the admin behind us, then hopefully we can get computer science to be more of an important part of our schooling. I do know that the code.org, when I was there, they were talking to me about Hawaii trying to work on a partnership with code.org. So they do partnerships where it becomes not something that is implemented in the schools. They want it implemented. So the district has agreed that computer science is important. So they are working with Hawaii on that. So I'm hoping that goes through, in which case we'll have computer science everywhere.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I have a question too. For your training, does Code.org, yes. I realize the focus is really to get it to teachers, and then that spreads to schools. But it'd be kind of neat also, or I don't know if they offer support for you, that you could share with us also, where we could run parent-child workshops at our schools, because I think it's important to get the parents vocal asking for coding in the schools. Did they talk about that at all? I know they have parent sections on the website.
Right. Yeah, there definitely are parent sections on the website. There's definitely interested. It was brought up several times on how do we get the parents as advocates, for computer science and things like that. Right now, it's a lot about giving the parents the information, bring it to the admin, and hopefully, they get. I don't want to say pressure because I don't want anybody to feel like they have to do this. But if you're really if you really don't see the value of doing this, then maybe I'm not doing my job, or maybe none of us are doing our jobs, and we need to really show people why this is valuable, why these are valuable skills for kids to have, right, and teachers in general. So one of the interesting things they write about is, right now we have lawyers and legislatures and all these politicians making decisions that affect how computer science, for instance, is being taught in schools and how XYZ is being taught in schools, yet they themselves don't know anything about coding or science or computer science or things like that. So how can you make an educated decision on that if you yourself are not educated on that, or at least aware of it, right? So
that's so true. Or like you said before, some of those same folks you just mentioned are making decisions like you did bring up, I think, the Wonders curriculum. So, I agree there too, because I think most of our teachers are really on board with it. They see the value, but truthfully, they just don't know how to fit it in with the other requirements that are expected of them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it is, you're right. It needs to be all those different people speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a nuts and bolts kind of question?
You can ask anything you want.
All right. One of the barriers I'm having trouble with is stuff like the computer use form that all the students' parents have to fill out. What does your school do about that? You know how the DOE has this mandatory...
The new TOG you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one.
Technology Acceptable Use Guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We, because we were informed so late about it, we actually haven't finished sending it out and getting it back. So we've currently got the old one. That's the last year's pink paper, I guess, that they put it on, just a big list of rules. We're using that one right now. But we will be sending it out soon. We were informed that maybe we shouldn't hassle the parents by putting the TOG out right away since we just did this one. So we're going to wait a little bit and then send it out. But it is going to cause some ripples for sure.
In your whole school, your students are not allowed online until the form comes back, right?
Because they've signed the AUG form, the old one, we are allowing them online right now.
Oh, because they did it last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was already stuffed into our open house packets and all that kind of stuff. So when we called the office of, was it in a student, I can't remember their acronym, but basically David Moyer and his group, that was the answer that we got. So
Okay, great.
yeah.
And I've got another question as well. So for all of the students who get past the 20th level on a lot of the coding, code.org, they then have to create a login to advance, right? And so how do the younger students do that? Or they don't have?
I have already created all of the accounts, so our kids are actually being tracked through the dashboard, through the teacher dashboard. So actually, I would let me see. I thought I queued that up here somewhere.
Hey Shane, did you put
Yes,
all
ma'am.
the student accounts under you, or did you upload them or create it under each teacher, or how did you do that?
Yeah, so remember I mentioned about the pillars thing. So I am currently the pillar, and I am currently the teacher of computer science at our school. Now, with that said, I have got agreements from lower L, because I don't teach lower L, the K1-2 classes, but I do teach 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to do code.org stuff with me, or Code Studio with me, and I'll teach the unplugged and then send them home to do the digital before the next week. The K1-2 teachers have actually agreed to teach it in their tech period as part of their curriculum.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
I've got
great.
really lucky about that. I'm still
Yeah.
controlling their accounts, and what I might do is I might just change my default password to something generic, and then have them be able to look up their students and their progress.
Yeah.
But at this time, I don't want them to dread too much about the progress. Like if one of the things we talked about at the code training was it's not necessarily, how you see these here. Let me see if I can. Now, if I can't find them, I've got so many pages open now. Linda's got me all flustered.
Sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
good.
not you. Like if you look at the code.org courses, for instance, okay, so let's go to Learn here, and we'll go to Code Studio. And you look down here, and it says Course 1. It starts the course for early readers, non-readers, basically. Course 2 is for students who can read at the very beginning, and then 3 and 4 are building upon what Course 2 does. What you don't want to focus, and we talked about this too, and about it's not like Course 1 is only for grades K1. Course 2 is only for grades 2, 3. Course 3 is only for 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, and Course 4 is for grade 6. What you want to do is have the kids just continually be progressing in their learning at their own pace, at their own differentiated pace. So if you have a student that goes through this and gets through Course 1, great. Let them go on to Course 2. Let them go on to Course 3. What's really nice about the teacher dashboard now this year versus when I first did it is you have the ability to track students in other courses, whereas before you had to exit them from your class and input them into a new class with a new course. But now you can just click on the very top. I would click on this button. Oh, I'm saying I would click on this button like you guys can see the screen. I'm not even screen sharing.
We can see you. I was wondering
You
about
can,
that.
yes. I would click on the button, except then you would see all my students' names and FERPA and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, the progression is there. And Jody, I don't know if have you seen the. Let me just share the picture of this, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Do you see this here? What the screen looks like here? I can probably zoom in more. How's that? Oops. Nope, wrong one.
I haven't used that one.
Okay, so what you're probably using is the Hour of Code 20-hour course. And this is actually like you would track Kate and her progress. The dark green means that she coded that page efficiently. The light green means that she coded it and solved the problem, but she did not actually code it the most efficient way she could have. So maybe she used 10 blocks of coding instead of 6. You can always have her go back and be persistent and say, okay, can you can you streamline your coding for this, right? The white means they haven't done that, and the yellow means that they're currently attempting it, which I don't see any yellow on this page. But you can clearly see that it'll track every single student. The View Stats button will tell you how many lines of code each student has done and how many activities they've completed. There's the Manage Students accounts where you can add, remove students, things like that. So what I did was I created a single class for every class. I have 17 classes in my school, so I created 17 different classes. Uploading it is amazingly easy. There's a little box. You just highlight first name, last name, right? And you paste it in, and it automatically creates the accounts. You have ways to create picture accounts versus email logins, things like that. There's simplified logins. So Last year I had a lot of help downstairs, and we definitely had our first graders and second graders working on Code Studio. So, it was great to see them doing that kind of stuff, and advancing themselves, pushing themselves further than we have in the past. So I am grateful to my teachers downstairs who are willing to try this stuff, and be the ones to help me, continue this. So, um, how's that? My camera back on? There we go. No? Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah. So what you want to do is, sign up for one of my trainings or host one, and I'll come to you, and we'll fill your whole school with as many teachers as we can of learning Code Studio. This is your own course progression, so that you can show the kids how well you've progressed through it. Let me see. Have you seen the new panel, Michelle, this year? Let me see if I do mine. Oh, if I do mine, I don't know if it's going to show it, but when I look at the students, and as long as they're in my actual course, there's a panel over here now, and it shows all of my kids' names, and I can quickly go between, on this exact stage 7B sequence, I can click and see what the optimal solution is and what each of my students has done and grade them based on that if I wanted to. And by not changing any other website, just clicking on their names, because their names will show up. I am pointing at the screen again, and you can't see it.
That's because you have your student names. We're not supposed to see them, right?
No, this one doesn't. This is actually mine.
Oh,
so
okay.
But
That's
right
fine.
here, you'll see a panel. Actually, here it is. Except, of course, there's no kids in here, right? Because this is my panel. But you'll actually see all of your kids in your class here, and I can just click and say, okay, how did Michelle answer it? Oh, okay. How did Jody answer it? Oh, okay. And Linda answered how? Now, what was the actual answer? And I can just see, like, if I was to drop this down, I could see which grade level and how they answered that problem. Really great the way they integrated that.
Nice.
So I don't have to go back and forth between students anymore. I can just click, and it'll show me their solution in here.
Oh, I love that. I think that's really neat. And the other way that this might be neat too is like if you see a student has solved it a different way, or actually, Shane, so this is an ignorant question, but in the coding here actually with the artist ones, kids can do it multiple
definitely.
ways and create different things. But it might be fun for kids to explain what they were doing or why they were doing it that way.
Right.
That'd be
So
kind of
up
neat.
here, you have that workspace, which is, the optimal solution is 10 blocks. But as it gets more complex, there are different solutions, and sometimes even if the solution is not the optimal one, it's definitely worth investigating. What was their thought process, and why did you do that? Like, if a kid starts using functions in a way I wouldn't have used it, why not investigate that and say, oh, that's great how you did that. It may not be what code.org thought was the most efficient way, but that doesn't make it wrong necessarily. It just makes it not what they thought the most efficient way was doing it. But definitely worth the discussion, right?
At ISTE, a teacher and I were talking with one of the reps from Padlet, and he was listening to her talk exactly about kind of the things you're saying here, that her kids would, they started first trying to solve it as a class, I think on their smartboard, and she'd call a child up to walk through the steps, and that child would explain, and the rest of the class would say, no, don't do that, or, they would kind of have dialogue back and forth, and she'd say, well, wait, what was your thinking? Why were you doing this? And the developer guy from Padlet said, whoa, he wished he had had that kind of training to reflect and talk about it in school, because he actually shared when he went to an interview at a big company we all know very well, that they were trying to get him to talk through his coding and programming, and he felt, I thought he was a very talkative, friendly guy, but he felt that was his downfall. And so I think, to give kids that opportunity to reflect and to share out loud, what I found in classes too is it's sometimes the kids who don't, you have your kids who shine at spelling tests and maybe running the cross-country course, and I found there's a whole new group of kids who really shine at coding, and it maybe wasn't the ones I expected.
No, definitely, yeah. This was the guy who gave us the I'm beautiful button, right? The Padlet.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I still have it, actually. Well, my daughter has it now, but
Very good.
yeah, so that's actually kind of interesting, because one of the things they've worked on is a pair programming, meaning two students being able to work and pair program together. You know, they've integrated some activities where that's involved, and
Oh, that's
that's
so
great.
cool.
You know, so they can work together and come up with a solution to, you know, as a collaborative team. You know,
Definitely.
right? Yeah.
Hey, and like you said, folks who come to your programs in the summer were saying, well, we're not one-to-one. And actually, when we first did our Hour of Code, we weren't one-to-one. We're not one-to-one still. I hope
Same.
Megan's
Yeah.
not listening. But anyway, so we did have kids working together, and they'd take turns. You know, one would do more talking, and the other one would have the hands on the computer, and then they'd switch. And so pairing is a great way to handle that when you don't have plenty of devices. But I'm so excited to hear, too, that Code.org has built it into the program.
Yes. Yeah. There's definitely some integration with that, and we even have, I believe, there's even some unplugged activities to reinforce that kind of stuff. You know, and a lot of the activities can be done as a pair, you know, as a collaborative group, you know, and it'd be great to do these kinds of things in the classroom and have them discuss their different solutions with each other, right? Before we discuss as a big class, you know. The teacher side of me coming out, not necessarily the Code.org affiliate training.
Yeah,
I just see
no,
the ways
it's so
that
true.
I'm excited about using this, right? And it, you know, it's really hard to talk about coding without somebody bringing up the Scratch word, you know, and that's great because I have nothing against Scratch. I think Scratch is awesome, and if I'm not mistaken, well, no, I am not mistaken. There's a lot of similarities between this and Scratch, and what I like about Code Studio is that Scratch does have somewhat of a learning curve. You know, to first get in there, it's a little bit overwhelming, a little bit of kind of like, wow, there's so much going on here all at once. This kind of leads them up into that, and I definitely feel like if, you know, in a year from now, maybe when I've had 2 or 3 grade levels going through this coming to me, I'll be more apt to jump right into Scratch with the next grade level because they'll be fully ready to do that, and they'll understand what the fundamentals are, and why, and the coding, even the coding style, you know, is we've had people kind of bring up, yeah, but it's visual coding, not, you know, not text syntax coding. Well, you do have the show code, you know, after you do a puzzle, you have the show code, so they can see that, but the focus shouldn't be on the language, because in 25 years those languages won't exist anymore. But the concepts for computer science have always been there. You know, the same thing between events and loops and algorithms, all this kind of stuff has always been there, has always been part of it, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to teach, not necessarily how to teach Lua versus Python versus C++ versus, you know, so that's why when we get too stuck in those types of things, it kind of gets me worried about, you know, where we're going, because I have to say I spent my young childhood learning how to do HTML coding, and guess what? They made a program that does it for me now, and I don't need to know anything about HTML coding. I just need to know about the concepts of putting a website together. You know, what are good practices, and that's kind of the thing we're talking about here, right, with Code Studio. So yeah, so questions? No?
I have a
Anything?
question.
Yes, ma'am.
In your training, or especially at the one you went to, I know you talked about equity. Did they address gender equity and how that's all happening
Yeah.
now? And
Mhm.
what's their take on it? What's your take on it? Anything about that? I'm just curious to know how that's.
They definitely, there's an equity for gender for sure. I you know, when I took the training with Evelyn last November, I guess I didn't see the equity as um, I guess as a problem at my school, if that makes sense, because I pretty much have a pretty even number of boys versus girls. Actually, this year a little more boys than girls, but I don't see that any of them are not engaged in my classroom. So I can't say that, oh, well, only 20% of the girls are actually interested in doing X, Y, and Z, because they're also interested in doing, maybe it's just because I'm doing all the cool, fun projects too, I don't know, but they just seem so engaged in all of this stuff, and I think they want to do it. And maybe, Linda, you guys are more apt to discuss this, you and Jody, but there was discussion about how at some point it becomes uncool. You know, so in elementary school, maybe they have a little more openness about, I'm willing to try this, I'm willing to try that, and then somewhere around 5th, 6th grade, things start changing, and then they get to be, oh, coding's not cool, why would you do that? Or this X and Y is not cool. Cool becomes this thing that stops people from trying different things. So we talked about how can we encourage, you know, kids to not be to see beyond that, and be as a more of an interest of what you're doing, as opposed to, and they talked about having positive role models, like you guys. The three of you are very positive role models, right? Showing off that technology isn't something that to be scared of, or only for boys, or things like that. It's anybody can do this. And they have some great infographics on here. Actually, Linda was just showing me how the Hawaii ones are up here, so I'm sharing the screenshot now. There's other reasons to do this, and I'll get to some more of that equity stuff, I guess, down here. But I mean, there are over 1,000 open computing jobs in Hawaii. 137 computer science graduates, though, so that's kind of scary. And 8 schools teaching computer science. Down here, we talk about the equity thing. Here are the women and minorities in computer science these days. That's drastically low, 0.7%. And of that 0.7%, only 8% are students of minority and 15% are women. So here we go, 3.6 million AP exams are taken, but only less than 3,000 of them are taken by African Americans and Hispanic students. So there's definitely an inequity around many different aspects. And I even brought this up as a Hawaii rep. The equity here might be slightly different. We have definitely a different demographic, and that's kind of interesting. But some of these slides are universal, as far as this. So I don't know how many of you out there have heard the word STEM, and we should be doing more STEM of this and more STEM of that. This is an interesting graphic because of all the STEM jobs out there, 60% of them are computing, but of the STEM graduates, only 2% are computer science graduates. The rest are from all the other STEM jobs, but there's only 40% jobs out there for those kids. So more computer science, yes? The jobs available, 1.4 million jobs, computing jobs available out there for 400,000 computer science students. So it's definitely a growing industry. One of the amazing stats they told us was that just from the hour of code in 1 week, we've had more women or more girls interested in computer science or participate in computer science than in the last, let me double check my note here, in the last 70 years. So in 1 week, their graphics, they get a lot of their stats from College Board. And so a lot of they've actually, if I'm not mistaken, we've got a partnership now. Code.org has a partnership with College Board to get this information and share it. So yeah, so the inequity is definitely there.
Wait, now 70 years? Has it been around 70 years?
No,
Sorry.
Computer science, 70 years. Hour of Code's only been around 2 years. So, but in the 1 week, in the first week, they've had more girls participate in computer science than in the last 70 years of girls participating in computer science. So
there's regional inequity as well. My nephew just graduated from high school in Maryland, right near the capital, the nation's capital, D.C., and he's already taken 2 full-year AP computer science courses and passed the AP computer science tests and got accepted to Berkeley. So our kids just don't even have those opportunities yet out here. It's kind of tragic.
Yeah. It's not good, but on a positive note, that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
That's what all of us are here for.
Tell us about your the nitty-gritty. When are your courses and how we can get a hold of you and all of that. We're heading toward the hour, so
yeah. Okay.
We can talk for another hour, but we won't. Tell us the nitty-gritty, how we get in touch with you.
Next workshop that you guys can sign up for is on the 8/29 workshop, and it'll be at my school. We will have a nice big room, computers, all that kind of stuff will be available. Just come, bring some friends, right? We'll fill it up and we'll get you guys doing lots of computer science. And what's great about the workshops is that you come, you'll get your free PD, you get your swag bag of Code.org stuff, you get the curriculum guide for Code.org, you get an actual curriculum guide that comes with it. When you finish your survey, you will actually get the unplugged activities materials. So there'll be a packet that gets sent to you of all the unplugged material. So it doesn't cost you anything to even run the unplugged activities. So they'll send you the decks of cards. They'll send you the dice. They'll send you, believe it or not, the potting soil for one of them. Somebody even got sent a ream of paper because that was what part of the part of the curriculum for Unplugged needed. They just want to make this so readily available to you guys that there isn't an excuse to not do it. So even saying, well, a ream of paper caught, nope, here's your ream of paper, don't worry about it, right? Here's your dice, here's your everything you need, just let's try it and get it out there. So yeah, I'm more than willing to, if there's people who are interested in getting a bunch of people together, I'm more than willing to do some workshops, other than the ones that I've posted. I have some dates up already that I've kind of blocked them off, and if somebody's willing, I'll offer those dates to them. I am finalizing a workshop in Hilo. I'm working on a workshop in Maui, right, Linda?
Right.
If not
End
with
of
you,
September.
then with somebody else. I will be doing some Code Studio 1 hour. Get interested and get involved and see if I can get some more interest in drumming up. HSTE is helping promote as well. So they're constantly retweeting my stuff on Twitter, and that's great. So you can email me at asselstein@pd.co.org, which is in this show notes as well, if you're interested in hosting. And at this time, just email me if you're interested in hosting, and we'll talk about the details then. Don't worry about, do I have enough? Do I have too many? What do I need to provide? We'll talk all about that kind of stuff. For the most part, if you're willing to provide a room for us and wireless, I'll run the training. We'll figure it out, and if it's too small of a group, maybe we can get other schools interested and combine the schools together, and then we can host it at one shop.
And
Yeah.
why can't we see you, Shane? We can't see you.
It's my camera's off again.
Oh, okay.
Because I did the screen share thing, so it's.
I see. You're going back and forth, black and screen.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow. I'm excited for you. I'm thrilled that you're so passionate about spreading the word, and hopefully people will take advantage of that, because how many times do you have someone saying, I want to come and teach you?
Yes,
for free.
And I'll do it for free. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully more people will take advantage of that. How about Kauai? I wonder if there's anybody in there.
I don't know. I actually don't know if I know anybody from there, but if anybody's listening.
Yeah, Jessica Kerber. I think her last name is Kerber. She did Ed Camp in Kauai, and also Lisa Morales, I want to say her last name. We did an Ed Camp with them, Ed Camp Kauai, and I'm sure they are very willing to bring anything like what you're offering to their island.
Definitely.
So maybe
we can we can make contacts with them hopefully and see if anybody's interested for sure. Like great. I said, I'm not opposed to going anywhere. I'm asking my wife. She says you'll just go anywhere in the drop of a hat. I'm like, hey, if it's gonna help us all, I'm more than happy to.
Yes.
I did want to share this last page here, and I did put this in the show notes. Teacherblog.co.org events. And Jody, you might be interested in this. Actually, a whole bunch of you might be interested in this because they're hosted by people like Hadi Partovi, CEO, founder of Code.org. It's a free Eventbrite activity, so he's America's untapped activities. You sign up for this, get a ticket. It's online. He's got this one here, an educator's guide to the hour of code. So they'll be doing that one in November. And Laura Klein, who is wonderful, she's the product manager. She's great. I had lots of opportunity to talk to her this July as well. Sign up for that one. It'll get you a great kickstart into doing Hour of Code. And the last one here, which is a sneak peek of the 2015 Hour of Code tutorials before they get released. So sign up for that one. You'll work with Alice and the group there. So keep this up. They're constantly posting different events and monthly meetings, things like that, all through Eventbrite. You can sign up and do it online. So if you want to get a head start.
You can follow teachercode.org.
You can, yes. Yep.
So all of these goodies are on our show notes, which is bit.ly/grh77 for our show 77 notes. Lots of stuff, and we'll put it in the YouTube in the description, and I'll add it to the event as well. Any other questions, Michelle and Jody?
No, just thank you, Shane. I'm so excited. There's so many new awesome things that you shared with us.
Yeah.
So many
Me too, me
choices.
too.
I'm super excited about it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to talk to my admin and my computer teachers and see if I can muster up some support.
Yep. You know what I found actually in Michelle, when we had those 2 workshops in November last year, um, the biggest advocates right away were the tech coordinators. If you can get them to come in and help out, tech coordinators, librarians were the first ones to jump on board because, typically those are your pillars of change, sometimes, and the classroom teachers can, they can come on board eventually, but if we're getting at least a trainer, somebody who's been trained at each school, that's awesome. I mean, that's, we're going to get a good start there. And then if you get admin who really buy into it, I had a couple of admin come to our session. I don't know, did Jan came to yours, Michelle? Or did
I think she had
Jan?
a conflict. Yeah, she wasn't able to. She wanted to, but she had a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're doing lots of that kind of stuff and getting them interested for sure. And I'm looking forward to Jody seeing what she can do. And Linda, everybody here, anybody who wants to do one. Michelle, you can host another one if you want. Maybe not the same teachers. We'll find all new teachers in your area. So.
How many can you take in each session, Shane? How many? What's the limit?
I don't know.
No limit.
I spoke to 225 people at ISTE. I was okay for that. And there was another 200 people at Minecon. No, I'm just kidding. They might freak out if I did 200 people at one time. But
yeah.
But wouldn't that be awesome if we had a 200? Limiting. Usually, what I do is on the workshops, I limit it to 30 people.
And it's hands-on.
Oh yes,
hands-on.
It's very hands-on. Yes.
It's hard to do hands-on with 200.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I might have to have Michelle come as like a TA and whoever else has done the training and they can help me out. So, but no, I'm willing to do groups. The hard part with a small group of, let's say, anything below 12 is part of the training is hands-on and it is group work. So, and the groups, you do the TLO model, which is the teacher, learner, observer model. And so if you don't have enough teachers and learners, then you lose some of that, right? And you really want to learn how to do that because that's learning how to teach the unplugged activities to the fullest, right? And so you want that kind of interaction. Plus the discussions are more full when there's more people. But I think
and
the first one
from each other.
I have 29 people registered for the first one.
Oh, good.
Ranging
That's
from
cool
public to private, and then I've got I don't know how many are in the second one yet, but I'm sure the overflow is going to go to that one now. So.
And you take a registration all the way up to the event, or how does that work?
Yep. So up to the day when I actually get there and I click the start event button. So even if you showed up and you didn't register, if there's a space, we'll fit you in. So
that is great.
The hard part would be to get you, of course, the materials, but I'm sure we could get you the materials afterwards if you did join up. So if you're patient enough, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
So if you're want to be getting materials, what's the deadline? A week, 2 weeks?
I usually will tell them they're saying 15 days. I need to give them a count 15 days before the event so they can have time to ship all the materials here. But like I said, if you're patient and you don't mind waiting, I'll just order it in the next batch and I'll deliver it to you guys, or we'll figure out how to get it to you. So.
Hey Shane, I just got a tweet from Melanie, and I think she is going to take you up on your offer. She's trying to get some YLI teachers involved, and I know that she'll be successful. So.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing people excited about this. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow, lots of possibilities. It's great. Okay, I think we're going to quit for now. We could go longer, but maybe we'll have another session. Shane, maybe you can talk about it after you do it, and give us some progress reports on how it's going, so to get more people excited.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would love to keep a leaderboard somehow of, this is what we've got done in Hawaii so far.
Yes,
since we started.
That would be fantastic.
We've gotten trained, and how many teachers are using it, and how many kids we've got enrolled. Some kind of statistics like that for us.
And even if you do get like 1 or 2, I mean, that's enough to keep you going, and worth it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, next week we're going to be talking about Google Cardboard, and Jody, I've kind of asked her to be the lead on it, so she's going to tell us all about Google Cardboard. I know nothing about it, but she's got some of the goodies. I said it on camera, Jody.
Yes, I know, and I just want to warn you that I'm kind of shy and understated, so it probably won't be a full hour, just so you know.
No, not when you did the Google Cultural Institute. Don't put yourself down now. And it doesn't matter. We actually go from half an hour to an hour. We'd never stretch it out more than we need to. And this one we had to stop today.
Can I?
Otherwise, we'd be gone forever. Sorry?
If Jody has time, can I show something on that show?
Of course.
Next week,
It's
having to do
definitely.
with
it's
cardboard?
not Google
Yes, it's
Cardboard, but
collaborative.
it is linked to Google Cardboard. It's something I saw at Minecon that will completely blow your minds.
Okay.
And it is
Yeah,
that
cool.
VR. It is in line with the VR. So
Okay.
so that'll be nice.
We'll do that at the end.
At the end,
Which
yeah.
reminds me that I wanted to start the discovery thing again. I started to do that at the end of the last school year, having things to discover. So we won't do it this time because you're not prepared, I'm sure. But next time we'll have a little discovery thing at the end. I love the serendipitous, I never knew that, isn't that great kind of thing, to add that to the mix. So in addition to Google Cardboard, we will have some sort of discovery by Shane and maybe other people as well. Doesn't have to be about the topic. Could be anything else. Thank you so much for coming on. We did have a few viewers come on, so that's great. No one asked any questions of the viewers. Very shy, not so good. We're hoping for better next time. But glad that you enjoyed the show. And we will see you next week, same time, Google Cardboard. Aloha and thanks for tuning in. See you next week.